Today I'm talking to Lauren Babic. She is a Canadian singer and songwriter from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. She's a lead vocalist of the Canadian progressive metal band Red Handed Denial. She's also a member of the post-hardcore international collaboration trio Crazy 88. Lauren also has a solo music presence with her YouTube channel with over 665,000 subscribers. She shares original music covers and vocal instructional videos, amongst other things. It doesn't seem like she could ever sleep. But here we go, Lauren Babic.
Hey guys.
What's up?
Oh, it's hot today.
Heard that.
Tear me to pieces, skin and bone.
6 feet under, wondering why.
Here we are. Nice to meet you, Lauren.
Very nice to meet you. I'm super excited to chat with you.
Thank you. Let's see. I guess we'll get going here. I see a lot of bands every week, and sometimes you find a band you really like, and then you stick with that band and you listen to it after a live stream or something. You guys were definitely one of those bands. Once I heard you, I'm like, I have to listen to more. And then you look into it and you find out there's more and more and more.
The rabbit hole goes deeper and deeper.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Thank you.
Covers. Was that, checked out some stuff from, a year ago, several years ago. There's actually so much that's kind of a mess in my notes.
Yeah, there's a lot, but I do appreciate you checking out the covers as well. So I actually have a question for you. How did you first, what was it that you found first? I always ask people that because I never know. Just generally, not like covers wise, but just what was the very first point of contact?
It was Marked with the Curse.
Cool. That's super cool.
From you guys. So yeah, it was Marked with the Curse. And how obviously serious you were about the music, but then how freaking hilarious the video was.
Yeah. That's a cool first entry point, to be honest. I don't hear that one very often. Marked with a Curse being the first one that people hear, let alone the first thing in my world rabbit hole, if that makes sense. So that's pretty cool.
We'll go with that then. How who had the idea and how'd you go about just filming, and was it multiple takes with toy instruments and all that stuff?
So the history of the band, we really don't take ourselves too seriously. Despite some heavy messages that we have in lyrics and stuff, at the end of the day, we just want to have fun. And we've had our fair share of very funny videos. So we wanted to bring one back for at least that era of Red Handed Denial. So we were we've always wanted to have a Nerf battle. So we're just we want that, but also explosions and dinosaurs, and toy instruments that we found at Goodwill. So we just went with it and took an afternoon, and we called our friend Anna and Alex and we're like, do you guys want to film a really dumb video? And they're like, okay, let's do it.
It was a great video. I think for my son's, what was it? 12th birthday or something like that. We took he had an arsenal of Nerf.
Yes.
And we went out to the park and invited him, a bunch of his friends. And we just went out there and just had a big old battle. It was awesome.
For all ages. Nerf is for all ages.
Yeah, it's fun. Well, Red Handed Denial, was that that was your first band gig, right?
Yeah. Well, no, technically no.
Okay.
There's no, I would be surprised if there was any footage of it, but when I was 15 and 16, I was in a ska band, but I didn't sing at that time, so I was playing trumpet.
That's right, you played trumpet.
Yeah, so technically not my first band experience, but definitely my first vocal experience, period. So
that's right. Cool.
I joined Red Handed when I was 17, freshman college.
My first band was called Lost Gods.
That's kind of sick. I'm not gonna lie, that's a pretty good name.
It was pretty good. And funky metal kind of stuff. And I remember throwing my guitar on my back and skateboarding over to it was 3 or 4 blocks from my house. I was going to my buddy's place. We'd go down there and jam. Yeah, it was fun. And
That's so sick.
I was 16, 17, but it didn't last as long as your band.
We have outlasted and been around for a hot minute.
Along with some other bands. Recently with Crazy 88, I didn't even know about that until last night when I was doing some research. I'm like, dude, what is this? And it
Let's go.
It's almost, would you say it's more aggressive? I mean, there's different kind of heaviness in each band. It seems like you may go a little more poppy with Red Handed Denial sometimes.
Red Handed has like the contrast, I think, because we have obviously songs like Marked with a Curse and like Abdication and Smokescreen. Like they're very heavy. And then we have like the shreddy Nintendo music that I like to call it Nintendo music. But Crazy 88 is more very on the nose, like nostalgic post-hardcore, basically a love letter to Under Oath. It's a concept band for movies. So Jared and I, every original song we have is based after a movie, because the whole band is a Kill Bill reference. The Crazy 88 is from Kill Bill. And so like every song we've ever made has been after a movie. So we when we released Burning Alive, which I think was 2018. Now I don't even remember when that album came out. But we wanted to see if everyone could get every song reference. Yeah. So Crazy 88 is a whole separate thing. And I love when people find that band after the fact. It's like really funny to me, because a lot of people who like Crazy 88, they have no idea that I'm also in Red Handed Denial, but also doing solo things. So it's funny when people make that connection.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I started looking. Just if you look up your name, all this other stuff comes up. Like, dude, what? And it's not
17
just
bands,
like side projects. It's like legit. Here's a thing that I'm doing. You know, it's really cool. So for like, you have the one album out with them?
Yeah, there's the full length, and then we have 2 or 3 EPs. So 2 of them are covers EPs, and then one of them is an original EP. So
all right, so all the original ones have something to do with a different movie?
Yes.
Oh, I gotta try and figure it all out now.
Yeah, it was very fun writing for Burning Alive, because we would basically like, we would know what the song would be about, but then the night before we would write the lyrics and then go record it the next day. And I was very stressed. Like that was an experience. And we actually recorded all of it with Johnny Frank, who is Bill Murray. So that whole experience was with him, and it was so fun.
Oh, Bill. Okay. Yeah, I'm familiar with him.
Yeah.
Too. That's awesome.
The homie.
So I see. So is it you and the guitarist and the bassist, or like the core of it? And then you have, because I see Tyson is in there playing drums sometimes, and sometimes you have somebody else.
Yeah, so it's me, Jared, and Patty. Jared is kind of the captain of the Crazy 88 ship. So he tells me what to do, and then I'm like, that's sick, we're doing that. And then so I do it. And then he kind of just, he spearheads all the like logistic side of things and the releases. So we actually do have new things that are on the way. It's currently getting mixed. So I'm actually really excited.
Oh, nice. How soon is that going to be out?
I don't know. I never know with Jared. He never tells me till like a week before, and he's like, by the way, this is coming out, and I'm like, oh my god, okay. So I don't know, but I know I've heard a few test mixes of a few of our new songs that are coming out.
So you've been working on stuff for a while, and you just don't know when it's going to come out. You send it, so you track it, and
so at this point in time, it would be a very silly thing to release a Burning Alive deluxe, but we're kind of doing that. So it's like almost 5 years later, but we have like a lot of remixes and a lot of reimagined things from Burning Alive. So it's kind of like all instrumentals and then reimagined stuff, and then a few new songs that no one's ever heard. So
awesome.
Jared has a fancy word for it. It's calling it that, and not a deluxe album.
I just watched I Am Tetsuo.
Nice.
I think today. As I sat there and just laughed.
Yeah, that is a very, very funny video. We actually filmed that at Tyson's workplace at the time. So we like invaded his office and we're like, let's use this conference room. And we just self-filmed it. And then Jane is the star, I would say, at the end when she scares the shit out of us. Jane really is the star of the video for sure.
Yeah, that was good. It got me too. What did I check out? I checked out covers of Redneck by Lamb of God, Toxic by Britney Spears. Both great covers, but
Thank
both
you.
have their key differences that kind of let them stand beside the song instead of like as a cover, you know? So what draws you to a certain song to cover it? What are your goals when covering a song?
I just have to really like the song. Like that's literally my criteria.
Right.
I don't care like what genre it is, as long as I know I love it, and then I'm like, okay, I think I could do a good job with this.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, Redneck is like a 1-for-1 cover, so it's like very similar to the original. And then Britney Spears is kind of like a metal reimagined version of the pop version. So I don't know. I guess I just want to make sure that I could do a good job, but also like make sure I love it. I think there's only like not even a handful of songs I've ever done where I was like, okay, I guess this is a homie favor, but you know.
Right on. Okay, I was going to ask if there's anything you didn't really like that maybe you ended up liking once you made changes to it, or
I mean there is a song on my Spotify top 5 that I'm just like, please leave, stop listening to it, please. But
what song is that?
Popular Monster. Like,
Oh, okay.
I didn't even know the song before I covered it, and I was like, oh god, we're really gonna do this. And so Halazine asked me, and they're like, you gotta do this thing, but we have this idea where we're gonna like black out your eyes in the video, and we're gonna like call you the monster. And I'm like, all right, I can get behind that.
Yeah.
But I really want that to leave my top 5 like yesterday.
You may or may not believe this, but the first time I heard Telephone, Lady Gaga's song, was your cover, and I thought it was your song.
No way.
Like, that's how out of touch I am with radio and top shit. Like, I heard that, I'm like, this is such a great song. The blending of a pop and metal and everything is so good. And then I was at a gym and I'm like, are they playing Red Hand Denial?
Is this Lady Gaga covering Red Handed Denial?
Right. I was like, oh my God, it's a cover. It's a great cover.
That's a big compliment if you thought it was the original. And
because when I went on to listen to other music by you guys, it wasn't like, oh, that must have been a cover. Like, it just fit in with the stuff you guys do.
That's very nice to hear. And I know that Dom wants that one to leave our top 5. He's like, please die. I'm like, it's so fun. I don't know why he hates it. That was our COVID song.
Oh, yeah. And a lot of stuff developed during that COVID period, huh?
Yeah.
Figure out ways to do things. And
I was like, I'm bored. Let's make a silly song where I scream Beyonce in the bridge.
Yeah. 1 year ago, Get Ready With Me, the vocalist origin story.
Oh, God.
Remember making that where you're putting on makeup?
Yeah, that was
watching that video.
I also learned a lot about makeup during that. I was like, okay, I'm just bored. Let's do a silly makeup tutorial that is terrible. That was fun. There's a lot of yelling and like not screaming, yelling in that.
Arguing with your eyelashes. That was fun too.
Yes.
You ever go back to the piano? Do you play any other instruments? I think I saw a video of you playing guitar. One of the
videos. I can play guitar, just like very basic guitar, just power chords and stuff. And I use it to kind of write with as the foundations of like any chord progressions. But I finally went back to finally got to use my piano background when we were doing the new Red Handed album. So like the synths in One More Night, like I actually played those, and that was like really fun to actually like bring that back. I don't go back to it enough though. I look back on it, I do regret stopping. Because it was just so like I was in conservatory music at that time and it was so rigid, and I was playing like classical stuff and I didn't want to, and it kind of just took the life out of me, and I was like, I hate this instrument, I'm never playing it again. But I do, like, now I'm like, okay, maybe it would have been cool if I would have kept going. But yeah, I wish I kept up with piano.
So when you went to do the parts, did you have to refresh yourself on what you're doing? Or did you retain that stuff, or
I retained like just general like scale knowledge and just like looking at the piano, but sometimes I unlock like random songs from when I was like 13 and I was like, why can I still play
can't
this?
just
I'm
start
just
doing
like, this is weird. Sometimes it's like a sleeper code that gets unlocked and I'm just like, this is weird.
I could always add parts to songs, but not like play a song, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to take some of the stuff I wrote and transcribe it to piano, and then trying to sing on top of that has been just a horrible experience.
I don't know how people have like that parallel skill where they just can play an instrument and sing. Like it's not, it's way too much bandwidth for me. Like I recorded a video, for I Hope You're Happy. And in the video I was like learning the night before, like, okay, I'm going to sing and play I Hope You're Happy. And I was like, this is really difficult. And I'm not even singing, like it's a music video.
Okay.
You know, just trying to film it was difficult enough. And I'm just like, how do people do this? This is too hard.
So when you went to try out for Red Handed Denial, I think you said there was you and was there one other girl there?
There was one other girl there. So she was like I think she was a jazz singer and street performer. And I'm not even kidding you. Like she showed up to the audition with stilts. Like she had just come from like a street performing session, I guess, and she literally had stilts with her, and I was like, this is wild. What am I getting myself into? I went first because she seemed like she didn't want to break the ice at the audition. I went and she's like, yeah, this is not for me. And she's just like, she kind of just saw herself out, and I was like, oh, I wish I got her name, but I hope she's doing well. I don't know. That was just a wild day.
So what was was there an ad you answered an ad for that?
I did. It was
Did they say just looking for a female singer for a metal band?
Yeah, it was a MySpace classified ad.
MySpace. Yeah.
Toronto metal band seeking female vocalist. And so it was us two. And I was like, this is my chance. And I checked them out. Like I checked Red Handed Denial out on MySpace. And there were 2 songs recorded. And they were like instrumentals. Because Red Handed had a vocalist prior to me. But nothing was ever released with her. So they had the instrumentals up on MySpace. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, this is super cool. An instrumental to Dance Lola Dance.
Okay.
Which is on our first EP from 2008, which is so long ago.
Wow. So you were doing harsh vocals and everything, leading harsh vocals in when you tried out?
I did them in my bedroom. And then that, like, the audition was like the first time I had ever actually like did it in front of anyone else.
Were they expecting those kind of vocals? Is that what they were looking
I told them, I was like, I can do it. It's just, I don't know if it's going to be good. And then we played, like I wrote 2 their demos and I showed them what I wrote. And then we kind of jammed it out. And then we started playing Blood Meat by Protest the Hero.
Yeah.
And that was it. Like I just like ripped Blood Meat at the audition and they were like, all right, this is sick. Like, let's do it. And I was like, all right. So I kind of had to learn, like I learned how to do vocals during my time in Red Handed Denial. Like the first, I would say like 3 years being in that band, like I was learning how to do it all as I went. We played a bunch of like little shows around Toronto at that time. And every show at the end, my voice would be blown out. Like every show. Because like I just didn't know what I was doing. And then slowly I figured it out and just like built up my stamina through being in the band. So
did you accidentally discover techniques how to do it without blowing out your voice? Or
yes.
Did you just so you just kind of
Yes. I mean I think after 15 years of doing it, and still being able to speak.
You gotta be doing it right.
Still being able to do it. I definitely figured it out after fucking up a lot. Like a lot. It's been like a crazy vocal journey. Because, I mean, back then, in like 2008. Like there's not really any not many screaming resources now, but there was none back then, like absolutely none. So it was kind of just like figure it out, talk to other vocalists, and say a little prayer, and then go. Like,
I know. I remember, I used to read about singers blowing out their voices, and you'd hear like there's a lot of people just fucking screaming.
Yeah.
And just shredding their vocal cords, and they'd have to take time off or whatever. And okay, now I can do more shows.
Yeah.
And people, you just think that's how it is. And then when was it you think that, I mean, I don't know when it was when people discovered that there were just ways to do shit right. If like singers didn't realize they had, this technique that they could show people, or, like they just figured everybody else was doing that. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, obviously looking at a lot of the massive metal bands, they've been doing it for a long time. I think Corey Taylor is a perfect example. Like those with longevity, like Randy Bly. It's like there has to be a sustainable way to do it. There was no really like black and white resource to be like, this is how, like it. And to this day, like I do vocal coaching, and I have my vocal course out, and it's like there's no like one size fits all when it comes to screaming vocals. Like it really is just like listening to your own body, and you watch all these videos now, and it's like false chords and fry chords, and this is what you do, like the squeaky door, and it's like, okay, yes, but also no. Like there's no like step-by-step process of like wiki how for everybody. Like it has to come from a lot of trial and error, and it has the same foundations of singing, but getting familiar with like the sensations in your throat, healthy sensations, takes a lot of time and discovery, and like listening to your body, and then going with what's comfortable. And not, I think eventually vocalists who go through the trials and tribulations of figuring it out, like they come to realize that like there's really not a one size fits all. And then some people are just born with it, like Will Ramos, who can like do every gremlin sound under the sun. Like there is a level of like, like there is a level of biology. I do, because there is with singing too. Like you have your range that, Ariana Grande is not going to be a bass singer. Like it's just not happening. But
right on,
like Alex Terrible is built different. Like we have to understand that. He is. But there are ways in which people who may not have like Alex Terrible level natural raw talent, like there are many ways, many roads to the same destination when it comes to like screaming and rock and roll distorted vocals, if you will. There was a lot of figuring it out.
It's good to hear you say that. My history is for music goes, it's a lot of blues stuff, and you can get some gravelly tones and stuff. But when I've gotten into heavier and heavier music, and some of the stuff I've written needs vocals like stuff like you do, and I'm like, well, I can't do that. Like what I'm doing now lasts for about 2 verses, and then I'm done. So I'm like, I'm just going to destroy my voice if I keep singing like that. So I started looking at like exploring how to do it and just trying different things. I read stuff with Tatiana from Ginger, how she just taught herself. I'm like, well, you can figure it out. And I'm like, let's just.
I know. That's so funny though, because like when you've been doing it and like you've been doing it for a while, it's really hard to like deconstruct.
Yeah.
How to and then how to like tell someone how to do it. It's just like you just do it, and so when I was recording and filming my vocal course with Chris Lipe, I was discovering how I did it while I was doing it. And I was just like, oh, wow. So that's actually how you like articulate and verbalize how we're doing it. And so there were like a lot of like teaching moments and learning moments for me. But it's so hard to actually deconstruct and like tell someone in like a nutshell, this is how to do it. And you can like, if you listen to pretty much anything I've recorded since 2008, you can literally hear my voice grow up, and you can hear it get better and more comfortable, and you can hear me like, especially in the screams, you can hear how I figure it out and how like the moment that they actually sound healthy, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I would say it was probably during our single version of Collector, which was 2016, which is a long time later. I think that's really when I was fully comfortable with it, and it actually sounded how I wanted it to, and it was sustainable for me live. But like pretty much anything prior to 2015, 2016, I was not, I did not figure it out yet, I don't think.
Well, I was wondering, like, because you said it's different for everybody. It's like, because I watched a few videos of people explaining, it's like you go till you get to that breakup. If you go to crack your voice, like you just push air then. And I'm like, okay, so I do it and it works for like one note. But if you want to do more than that, it kind of goes away. And I'm like, well, I wonder if like the same technique applied to different people just works in different ways. And that seems like kind of what you're saying. Like you have to figure shit out.
Yes, because like sometimes it's just finding the key to like your lock, and there's different ways that we've heard how to do it. Obviously, going from the more like lower false chord method, it's like, oh, just sigh, and as though you're mad at your mom or something, and you go, and like that is false chord activation. But that method and that way of screaming never worked for me. Like that doesn't make sense to me, and my body is just like, that's not what it wants to do. So how I figured it out was through singing and finding that break point. But some other people figure it out through the fry chord activation with the like squeaking door or whatever. That also doesn't make sense to me. So it's kind of just like finding that one method of like, okay, that
screaming into a pillow till it doesn't hurt anymore.
Exactly. And I think there's just so many different just like starting points, and there's no right one. It's more just like listening to your body, like, oh, does that hurt? Okay, stop that. Like that. It's really that simple. And like, do you feel like burning? Okay, stop that. Like it's really that's simple, and allowing your body
to work through that. You need to stop that.
Yes, you need to stop that. And like knowing when to stop is just such a huge thing that I wish I listened to myself when I was 19. But thankfully I've never had any vocal damage. But I know that if you do like prolonged stints of vocal strain, and you kind of keep like punching the same spot in your vocal cords, you can actually have longer term damage. So I'm lucky that I figured it out and just like paced it and allowed myself to recover when I was younger. And thankfully I know what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
When you go from a clean to your harsh, is that like, as it looks like you're just belting it out, is it loud, like just as loud as your clean vocal you're doing? It seems like some, like they sing like this, then when they do the harsh, they got to eat the mic just to make it loud enough. Like I was under the impression that it wasn't that loud.
That's a common question. Like my screams are probably a little quieter than my full belt singing. And I think it's because of the amount of control that you have to have. And I'm also not using like the lower false chord style activation, which that is way louder. Like that's why you can hear Alex Terrible over the crowd in those videos, because he's doing that style, which actually needs more projection. That what's vibrating requires just a massive like air dump. So that's why like it looks like he's
okay.
going Super Saiyan mode, because like that specific technique, just there's all this air dumping out, which is why it's so loud. But for me, like, because I'm using like upper constriction, it's actually like a very small pipe of air coming through. It's not a lot, so it's actually quite controlled. I think if I were to measure it with like a decibel reader, my like full belting singing would be way louder,
Okay.
which is it's a common misconception, and I think that's actually how a lot of people blow out their voice, is trying to be
Right.
loud. It's just not about being loud. It's just like the worrying about the quality of your tone instead of like how loud am I. And it's the microphone is supposed to make you loud, not you.
Right.
Like you don't make you loud. So that's a huge misconception about screams in general. Like they're not actually, some of them aren't that loud. Specific techniques can be loud, but it really depends on the person. Like Chester Bennington was really loud because he used a lot of his singing voice in his screams, and that's just how he's built. You know, like,
It's
yeah.
crazy to think, because like I think there's some people that may sound similar in what they're doing, but they're just going about getting that sound a different way. And that's
Right.
That's something to where even I was dismissive, like back in the day watching Headbangers Ball when like Death came out. I'm like, that's not for me. Like, I don't know. I can understand what the Steve's saying and whatever. And then it took me a long time. Like I'm now recently getting into a lot heavier stuff than I ever listened to before. And then learning like how disciplined you have to be able to do that. It's just fucking wild. It's deserves a little more respect than I think it probably gets from a lot of people.
Yeah, because it just like metal vocals in general, they like it is quite difficult to figure out, and I think a lot of non-metal listeners are just like, oh, it's just yelling, or like, you know, I can't understand what they're saying. It's just noise. But I think with screaming vocals, it does come from a lot of emotion, and it is a very emotionally charged genre. Like and it's not for everybody, but like I think just a mutual understanding and mutual respect for just the art itself is really important. Because like I don't like a lot of like death metal and like black metal. Like I don't really listen to that stuff, but we have to respect it as an art and as a form of expression as well, because it's not like Cradle Filth stuff. I don't listen to that band, but to do that style vocal is insane. Like it's just it requires a lot of skill and a lot of discipline.
It's like one of the first times I pushed back on my dad. He was dropping me off somewhere. We were listening to Soundgarden, and Chris Cornell was just going off. I can't remember what song it was, and I'm like, "Oh, that's so awesome!" He's like, "Well, anybody can scream." I was like, "Can you?"
Chris Cornell,
not everybody can do it. Can you scream? He's like, "No." I'm like, "Well, there you go."
He's got like Chris Cornell's god tier though. I stand
hell
on that. Chris Cornell is like one of the goats for sure. His vocal range is unmatched. Insane vocals.
Literally into a pillow, trying to sing along with any of their albums and being like, well, he can do it. Before I knew anything, it's like, well, he's doing it, then I should be able to do it. It's like, no, dude. No, sir.
Chris Lipe, actually, he genuinely sounds like Chris Cornell when he sings. So he did a cover of, I can't remember what song it was, but I was just like, dude, you actually sound like Chris Cornell, and I was freaking out. Yeah, what a vocalist, honestly. But it requires so much skill, especially being able to sing and scream and flip back and forth, and having like a massive arsenal like someone like Chris Cornell or Chester Bennington, or like there's just an extra like god tier level for those vocalists like Corey Taylor, who can do like all of it. It's crazy.
But you are one of those people, Lauren. I know you don't want to say
it's
yourself,
big
but
imposter
you
syndrome. Like I really have big imposter syndrome. I am my worst critic for sure. Like I always
I know even saying that you're like, oh, like, you
oh
don't
God,
care.
like I go into like a quarterly, like a quarter annually existential crisis of like, should I just stop and like move to Costa Rica and be with the sloths? And like I have that all the time, because like my sentiments about like social media and all that, it's especially in the past like 4 years has been
Yeah.
a huge burden on me as like an artist. And I don't know, I have big imposter syndrome, because I think the social media aspect has finally gotten to me a little bit, which sucks. Like I hate admitting that, but
Like as feeling the need to make content, or just dealing with assholes who
like
think they know everything.
all of the above. It's like, I've been making music, and it's like it's this scary realization that that's not enough. I don't think artists ever intended on having to do the entire song and dance. Like I just want to make music and sing and write, and now I feel like that's on like not even 50% of
Yeah, it's
the
not
job.
enough.
And it's not enough, and that has really gotten to me. And like ever since I've been back from tour, like I've been back for over a month now, and I'm just like, I don't feel like doing anything like, hey guy, like I don't want to do that right now. Like I'm just, I don't know, it's just been so draining. So I've just been trying to find other ways to keep the joy, So I don't know. It's been very interesting times.
I would have loved to have just played music. I got music on Spotify. It gets about 12 listeners a month. That's clearly not going to do it.
Well, now Spotify won't pay you, which is
they won't pay me shit
fantastic,
anyway.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
It feels
they weren't making enough money. What are they
No.
supposed to do?
the CEO definitely wasn't making enough money.
I got to do something else, right? I got to make myself valuable in some other way, which is what you got to do that too. It's a weird thing.
And that's the scary part about being a musician right now. It's like, what is your worth? And I don't like that question. Like, I don't like the answer to that question that a lot of people think it is. Like, what is your value as an artist? And it's like, oh, well, if it just boils down to how many like TikTok followers or views you have, then that's fucked up. And I don't like that. I don't subscribe to that. Like, and I don't know, it's just so different right now.
Well, do you think there's it's more of an even chance for somebody to make themselves known now compared to 30 years ago, to where if you didn't know somebody, nobody would ever hear you?
But it's also still like that. Like, don't you worry. It's still like the music industry is very much still like that. But now, like, the labels don't want to do any work. Like, they'll only find the people who have like done that themselves, and then they want to cash in on the cow,
exploit it,
or still deal with like the nepotism and like whose dad knows who. Like, it's that now, and it's struggling with like, where does everyone else fit in? Like, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of other artists that like don't fit into those two boxes. And I think with places like TikTok, it's like, it's this false sense of hope. Like, oh, well, anyone can like go viral now. And now it's bringing a lot of like disingenuous content, because now it's just a rat race of like, okay, well, now I'm going to make my art to go viral. And it's like, well, but why are you really doing this? Like it raises a lot of questions of like authenticity, and now there's AI, and now it's like, it's a lot. So watching all of this go down over like 15 years of being a musician and a singer, and then unintentionally becoming an influencer. Like I am uncomfortable. I am uncomfortable. And it's weird. It's very weird. It's a very interesting time, and I am afraid for, I think just with AI alone, like I'm afraid of where art is going to go. And it's just like an interesting conversation piece of like what's going to happen. Like it's scary, but also like it could be good. But like my faith in humanity is not that high, so it's probably going to be weird. And who knows? Who freaking
there
knows?
are, well, just music as a whole. The most popular music is the people that love the most popular music don't give a shit if it's created by somebody who loves their art or not. It's like
Right.
It's ear candy. It's ear candy. They don't care. So AI will be fine with those people, which just happens to be most people.
Yeah,
like they're going to
and-
look into it and be like, wait a minute, did somebody write this?
Yeah, and the problem now, I mean, there was always a problem, but now with the main like platforms is they're not gonna show you people's content unless you pay. Like, especially if you're a brand or a band, like you're promoting your work, like you're sharing your work, and the algorithms know that. Like they know that you're trying to push something, so they're going to purposely not show people unless you pay for ad stuff. And it's like I've done I've done the analytic tests. I've looked at it.
Yeah.
And now there's like the whole like, I think Meta introduced the business subscription stuff where you could pay $300 a month and
Yeah.
people will see your stuff, but like at what cost? And it's just,
So it's payola, the thing that was under the
It
table.
is.
Now it's just how you do it.
so now you have to really have money or label backing to actually have exposure. And I think TikTok's going to follow suit. It already has, kind of. Like every other swipe is a sponsored ad. So it's like, I think at some point there has to be a breaking point. Like,
Yeah.
when is this going to stop? Who out there, which business mogul or philanthropist is going to start a new platform where there's no ads and people who follow you will actually see your stuff? Like, it's not going to be Elon, that's for sure.
No.
It's definitely not Elon.
Well, it'll be a great idea, and then it'll get corrupted like Netflix and everything else. It's like, oh, great, I don't have to have cable. This is sweet. And then everybody splits up. Oh, I'm only on this, sir. I'm only on this. And then
Now you will pay for our subscription, but still get ads. Like, so you could pay for
Right.
the premium subscription and get no ads or less ads, like Hulu. I'm just like, I'm paying for Hulu and I still get
I still got to sit through this.
like 3 ad breaks that are like 2.5 minutes long. Like, I just want to watch my show. I'm paying for
Right.
this. Anyway,
Do you
it's
think
so it's
maybe
crazy.
this it'll make live shows more important?
Yes. But but we need Ticketmaster to like check itself because it's monopolized. Like Live Nation and Ticketmaster have monopolized the touring circuit. So
Yeah.
I think they're getting sued for that right now. I can't remember.
They are, but see, the government did that 10 or 12 years ago.
Pearl
and
Jam.
Found them guilty, and then they're still like, okay, you take care of your shit. You gonna fix it? Yeah, we'll fix it. Okay, go ahead. And then they went on to do what they do now, which is screw over so many people.
My favorite part was now they have this like program where participating venues will pay the bands like a bonus and they'll give them a gas card, and it's like, thanks.
Yeah.
And we got that bonus I think twice on the tour. And I was like, it feels really good. Like, thank you, but why are tickets and all these fees and like it's out of control. It's absolutely out of control.
Yeah.
Like and
Well, I
merch
think-
cuts. Like come on.
Yeah. God damn. They're so fucking greedy.
Oh yeah. But that's what it comes down to. Like everyone wants their moment and their money, and unfortunately like the people with all that money will get more money, and everyone else has to just deal with it, unfortunately. Like it's scary. Like but it's a big conversation piece, I think, for people consuming media and also the people making the content. Like it's definitely a conversation piece for sure that we have to like stay aware of.
Yeah, because even if you guys decide, well, we're going to put on a concert for free, well, not for free, we'll live stream it and people can pay to watch it, but then you inevitably have to go through some goddamn distributor so people can have access or whatever. I mean, what do you end up, you can do a live stream and like rely on super chats or super whatever. I don't know. Anything that bands figure out, it just gets vultured.
Unless we go the old school route where we put up flyers around the cities and have street teams and put on secret shows, which like that's cool as fuck. Like I kind of want to do that. I've been thinking about putting on a few like solo shows where like it's $5 and then I advertise it just like with street teams. Like I kind of want to do that. It might be really refreshing.
Yeah, it reminds me. So you toured with the Japanese band Acme, right? Mm-hmm. Like early on. Have you followed any other Japanese bands?
We toured with them in 2020.
Oh, that's right. It was with
There are a few. I really like One OK Rock. I haven't really kept up with them lately, but we've played with a few Japanese bands. So like Acme, Umbrella, Matenru Opera, like some that have been around for a while.
Okay.
And I like how they market their stuff. Like it is still very like street teamy, and I love that.
I've been over there a couple times, and you go and you like to Shibuya, and there's just venue after venue, and there's bands that have been around 10, 15 years that it's like they play these. To me, they're awesome, huge bands. And then I went over there and I saw them. I'm like, they're playing to like 75 people, but they're putting on the show of their life, and everybody there loves it. And then the next night they're playing in another place, and they're playing in another place, and those same group of people will go support them. It's like, you get your core group of supporters, and you can do what you want to do. You're not going to be world famous, but you can. That's all you have to do.
It's a community. It's much more about community building, and like, I love that because Japanese fans and like even like the anime community, they're different. Like they will go to the ends of the earth to follow their favorite thing, and they will go and support their favorite thing all the way. Like when Red Handed's played a few like conventions, and when we were opening for these Japanese bands, people had no idea who we were, but they would go down the merch line and literally buy one of each thing. Wow. And it's like, I've never seen that in my life, like ever, at any like Western style show. Yeah. And I would ask like, okay, thank you so much for supporting us. Like, what's your favorite song? They're like, oh, I have no idea who you are, but you're here and we love you. And I was like, in what universe do people do that at a normal show? And that's like, it's a different culture, different community. And I adore that. Like, I love the support from like Japanese fans and fans of Japanese bands. Like they're different. They're wonderful.
For sure.
Very supportive.
It is amazing. Bandmate is a band I adore, and they're just one of the best things that ever happened to music. They opened my eyes to what music could be now, because I was stuck kind of in the past. And I heard them. I'm like, what is this? This is amazing. And it literally brought me back around to you guys in a roundabout way through my live streams and stuff. And so, yeah, Japanese people watch my stuff. I'm always talking about Red-Handed Denial. It's like, you guys got to check these guys out, man, because, it's they're doing what you love, so please check it out.
Yeah, we've had, like, I think our style of music, like Chris, our guitarist, he grew up with a lot of like, he loves Japanese music and J-rock, and so does Tyson. So I think the influences come through a little bit. So I would love to play in Japan. I think it would go over so well. Like, they would.
Hell yeah. I think
they
you
would love
kill
it
over there.
Yeah, that's definitely on the bucket
list. There's a lot
list.
of bands like Nekameshi and Gungure and Drag Down. They're all like the same. They would sit well within like the same venue as you guys. It'd be an amazing thing.
One day.
One day, hopefully. Oh, shit. Musician's Mansion.
Oh, God.
Well, how was that?
Okay, my counter question is, how many episodes did you watch? And that will determine my answer.
Okay, so I'll be completely honest with you. When it came out, I was I was familiar with like Jared and Nick Nocturnal and Bradley Hall, and that's about all I knew. So I didn't realize you were part of it until like last night. Because I was looking up stuff. I'm like, holy shit, she was in there. So I went back and watched the first and second episodes.
Good.
Yeah, where you wrote your freaking killer song, by the way.
Thank you.
And then shot the video, which clearly was the best video. And where Skylimit was having an interview with Jared, and you're talking about the show and about you being a villain. And I didn't catch where this narrative came from.
Oh, God. So actually, that's a feedback from a lot of people. Like, they only watched the first 2 episodes, and I'm like, very good. That's all you need to watch. And I mean, obviously it was the pilot season, and like, it was a kind of like a trial run. And I think after episode 3, it kind of goes awry. Like, I think the original intention, Musician's Mansion, goes awry because it's not about music anymore after episode 2. But episode 3 became Fear Factor, and then I was just like, okay, I think a lot of us felt that way. We're just like, all right. I almost broke my foot. Because one of the challenges was like, we put those big like blow up balls on us, and it was basically bumper balls. Justin Bonnet almost broke my foot. So as soon as I went in the ring with Justin Bonnet, why was I put up against Justin? Rude, first of all. I rolled my ankle so bad, like it swelled up so big. Damn. I was pretty much in excruciating pain for the rest of the filming. So that kind of soiled my day, which, Justin, I love you. It's no big deal. But then the next day we had to go busking. So it was a busking challenge. And in my group, I had Bradley Hall, Sophie Burrell, myself, Andrew Bena, and Dylan.
Yeah.
And we were already kind of like, should we just fuck around and like spice this show up a little bit? Yeah. And we're like, fuck it. So we chose to like prank the cast, and we didn't we busked for 20 minutes. And then I went to US Bank, pulled out $300 and put that in our busking hat. And then we filmed a whole skit, which they did not show on the show. And they filmed us like we did an entire skit, but they showed none of it on the actual final episode. it just went from like Skylimit did nothing, and then at the end we cheated, and then everyone was mad, and I was like, wow, that they really did us dirty. So then Sophie and I actually look like we're IRL bitches. Like we look so bitchy, and so I was just like, well, now I look really bad, but whatever, it's a reality show. But then the last episode was a roast, and I was like, I didn't sign up for Comedian's Mansion, first of all.
Right.
I am here to make music and like have music. So I was done. I was done by day 3. I was just like, this is not Musician's Mansion. This is like, you know, I don't know, Mansion. So it's good you watched episode 1 and 2.
Now I gotta go watch the rest of it.
But it was fun. I think the takeaway was everyone was very cool. The off camera moments were actually my favorite. Everyone was really
everybody
cool.
was making their own kind of vlogs about it and everything.
Yeah.
And those were pretty. I watched some of those.
Those were the best part, honestly.
I even watched yours before I knew who before I knew who you were. And
That's
you were
funny.
talking about the imposter syndrome and how then you talk to other people, and then I realized, because I create content and all that shit too, and sometimes I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? So I watched your video, and everybody on there who, like the few that I knew, were saying the same thing. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, it's okay. Like, it's not just me.
Yeah.
These guys got their shit together, and it's still
We
they
still
think they got
don't
their
have
shit
our
together.
shit together.
Right. So that your video literally helped me like get through some shit. I'm like, okay, just keep doing what you're fucking doing, because you still
God.
have people that are going to watch your stuff, you know? So
Yeah, I'm
before I
glad.
even knew, you know, I was like, oh, fuck, this is, you know, is an important thing.
I'm
Like
glad.
they were almost relieved to like just say it, you know, like, oh, yeah, you too. Shit.
Let's just say I was not asked back. Like, it was very evident that like there was a favorite band on that season, and let's just say it was assembled that way, and they were the only ones asked back. So
Yeah.
boo-hoo, too bad. Skylimit's going to make more music though. Like
That's awesome. Hell yeah.
yeah, we
I was
just
going to ask if you guys, because I knew you did put out the song like for real. You went and recorded it, put it out.
yeah.
So you guys are going to do more?
Yeah, so
That's awesome.
we confirmed studio dates for October, and we're actually planning something pretty hefty. Like I don't know how much I could say about it, because Bena is spearheading the project, but we have a really big sponsor, and we're going to make like a documentary, and we're going to make music
yeah.
videos. So it's going to be like really bigger than we thought, and we're really excited. Like we already have 2 demos that we kind of were messing around with, but I think we're gonna remix and remaster A Place You'll Never Find, and then I think we're gonna do a full EP. But we're gonna like go hard. We're going pretty hard with it, and I think we should drop it the same day Musician Mansion season 2 comes out.
Sounds like a great idea.
That's kind of what I want to do. And then like keep the like fake villain arc going, because it actually got some people really mad, and like people who don't know me or like have never heard of me or like talked to me in the comments, they're like, Lauren Babic is such a bitch. And I can't believe she would do something like this and stoop this low. And I'm just like,
But
success. successful villain arc. But no, it was all in good fun. Yeah, new music, and we're very excited.
that's great to hear, because when, you know, hearing you guys, watching you guys talk about the experience and how when you got together, you kind of had to feel each other out. But then once you did, you just kind of knew what you had to do as far as working with each other. That's a rare thing, you know, to be able
I can't
to have that
believe
happen.
Like, props to Jared for putting us together,
Yeah.
because despite the optics of the show, I think like our band made easily the best song of the season. And like, I cannot believe how well we gelled. Like, I've been in bands for a very long time, but to have 5 random ass people come together,
Yeah.
and like we had maybe 1 hour during that 5-hour period of like, okay, what's the vibe? Like, what are we doing? But like realizing how talented like all of them are, but also the way we work together. Like me and Sophie like clicked immediately, and her lyric writing is crazy good. Especially Under the Gun, like, oh my God, so talented. And she's one of like the best guitarists I've ever seen. And I was just like, Sophie, what the fuck? You're so young. Like, where did you come from? And Bena, obviously, like I've worked with Bena for so long. Like his skills in just like songwriting and just knowing like what should go where. And then with Bradley, he like grounded us because we're a bunch of prog heads in the band, but he grounded us, and it's like, okay, let's have like a real metal riff instead of us just like going off.
That's wild. Out of the 5 of you, having him be the one that grounded you with how he is on his own channel. It's just
Brad is like he's wild in his own way, but he's actually so talented at like because he's more of like a classic metal guy. Like he fucks around with like just like the classics and the staples and the big like top shelf metal bands, which the rest of us in the band in Skylimit, we're more on the modern side. So for Bradley to bring in his classic skill set was very important, and I don't think the song would have been the same without Bradley and his like way of interpreting and sort of being like, hold on, but let's try this chord progression. And he really brought that. And then Dylan was able to just like be the glue, like drive the parts.
So cool. So
It was crazy.
You worked with Bena for a while. What have you done with him?
Oh my God. We
did work
covers
with other in different projects, or
we did a cover like in maybe 2014, 2015, like almost 10 years ago. Like I've known him for so long, and he's in a deathcore band called Carcosa, and his singer Johnny, his old band, I featured on their EP, and I didn't know it was Johnny. And then when Bena was in his new band, Johnny hit me up and he's like, hey, remember that like track you did like in 2011? Yeah, that was me. And I was like, what? I like, it was just so weird. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, this is such a full circle moment. But I don't know, it's such a small community. Like I forget how like small it is. And they're also like Bena and is Canadian, so yay Canada. we share that.
Out of Canada, man.
I know. There's so much good shit coming out.
Unleash the Archers. Come on.
Yes, and most of it's coming out of BC because I think Unleash the Archers is out of British Columbia as well.
Well, we didn't even talk about your new album yet for Red Handed Denial. That's awesome.
Thank you.
And even speaking of inspiration, I was talking about playing piano. I have a Yamaha keyboard that I use to add, atmosphere to songs and stuff. Well, then because a couple of your instrumentals on that album are very, very digital, very synthesizer heavy.
Very.
And I was like, dude, that's fucking rad. I want to do something like that. And so now I literally like wrote a whole song that just because that made me want to do something like that. So I did it. I was like, this is so fun.
Synths are fun. That's a big rabbit hole when you're recording. It's like, what synth sound should I choose? And next thing you know, it's 5 hours later.
Yeah.
So fun when you like dial it all in and then it all works. Like everything's glued and you're like this is it. We finally found it. The combo. It was fun, like trying to like weave in all the synthesizers that we did on the new album, because it's very industrial. It's very, very like synth heavy, and we've dabbled in that with songs like Father Said, but like we never really went full send on it. So a lot of it is Chris. Like he's, since the last album, he's gone like full producer. Like he's producing bands now. He went to audio engineering school. Like, so he brought a lot of his new knowledge to the new album. And that's why it sounds the way it does. It's because Chris and Lee are magical creatures, and they were able to make something out of nothing. And then I'm good at taking the something and making it into and putting the sprinkles and all the other things on it. But Chris and Lee as a team are just like incredible. And like Chris definitely elevated his songwriting skills and his production skills, and he's finally a co-producer on one of our albums. So it was really awesome for him to like sit in that chair, if you will. It's really cool.
Having somebody like that in the band it's got to help during the writing and recording process, just to kind of streamline things a little bit.
Yeah, Lee was definitely that person. But it was a few growing pains during the process. But yeah, you need a captain to sit at the helm and then take my weird ideas and just make it into something, because I never know how to like actually execute anything. I just have the idea. Like they call me the idea factory. Cole Rowland has coined me the idea factory.
Wow.
So I never know how to like do it, but I'm like, let's do that. But like, I don't know how to do that, but let's do that. Can someone make that happen? So
you're like singing melodies to him. Like, can you do this and this part?
Yes.
Kind of thing.
And then I'm like, okay, and then put this kind of synth sound on it and then put this effect on it. Like I know what to do, but I don't know how to do it usually. So you need people like Lee and Chris to like take my gibberish and actually make sense of it and do it. Yeah, otherwise I would get nothing done. I just spew out weird ideas and then they're like, oh, okay, I think I know what you're saying. And then they do stuff.
Awesome. So for a typical song, does it start out? I mean, I think the answer is going to be many different ways, but is it, are you get the idea first, or does sometimes it's Tyson, sometimes it's, different members kick it off with a guitar riff, or
9 times out of 10, it's always Chris who like has all these guitar parts strung together.
Okay.
And then, I will say yay or nay, like, cause it's usually just like nonsensical guitar riff salad, and I'll be like, okay, but we have to make this into a song. So it's like taking ideas and actually putting it and making it into a song is like, that's kind of my job when I get stuff from Chris. And then that's how we usually do things. But with this new album, we intentionally wanted to start with vocals, because generally when you start with vocals, you can write around the strength of the vocalist, because there's nothing worse than writing an instrumental and then realizing like, oh, this is in the wrong key for the vocalist.
Yeah.
This is not the right like structure. Like it's just not making sense vocally for a song. And I think that was one of the pieces missing in our process, was like, how can we work with what I have? Because like I have limitations, whereas like an instrumentalist can just simply change the key, but I just can't change what I was born with. So like, we started with vocals in mind. Okay, like where's the sweet spot for me? What vibe can Lauren shine? And then we adjusted everything with that. and I would just like have a microphone in front of the recording program and just like start humming, like literally start humming stuff. And then if we liked it, we'd be like, okay, put that, keep that, cut that. And then I would have like a guitar and we would start like strumming like chord progressions, and then I would hum over it. So it was like a lot of kind of deciding what is like the strongest, hookiest melody. So
you were starting by humming melodies and just recording that
for one more night. Yeah. Like it was a lot of just like humming. The songs that were kind of already like kind of 80% done without vocals was like My Demise. I Hope You're Happy, and Falling Back to You. So those ones were kind of already instrumentally like, okay, we like that. Like Lauren can do a lot with that. But the ones we really just ripped apart and started from scratch almost was like Parasite, One More Night, Smokescreen. So we really just started, for all intents and purposes, from ground zero. It's same with Home. Like Chris had a riff that we liked in Parasite, which was the intro riff.
Yeah. That song's fucking wild. It's so brutal. I love it.
Thank you. But that was kind of like the nice part of it. We weren't afraid to like scrap stuff. And I think with the history of RHDs, like we were very married to like our demos usually. So we would be very like protective over what we already wrote.
Yeah. And
usually it was just like a guitar riffs, and then I would have to like deal with that. Whereas with this album, like we were just like not afraid to start from the ground up. So with Smokescreen, like if you were to hear the original demo, like it's completely different. Like we didn't have any of like the industrial elements in it. Like that was all just like, okay, what's best for the song? What's best for Lauren's voice? Let's do that. And then we would like scrap whole parts.
So when you do something like that, it was the rest of the band like, oh shit, yeah. Like this is better than what we had.
Yeah. Like, and I think like as you grow and are humbled a million times in your musician growth, like
right.
Eventually you kind of just like, hopefully your pride kind of goes out the window. Like, and I think once you throw your pride away and you just get better songs and you're able to just like work together better. Especially because everyone in a band has a job, and I know like there's those memes of like, oh, the vocalist thinks they're the most important, but like sometimes like your bassist and your drummer have to take a back seat when it comes to songwriting, because generally like there's like in a songwriting process, you want to focus on structure and vocal melody first and foremost. So like we really just abandoned any like pride, and we're just like, all right, let's make the best songs that we can, and that's the goal, and it doesn't really matter about anything else, and we have to just like suck it up and do what's best for the song. And that's kind of the approach we took. Even me too, like I was just like, I had to do a lot of humbling in my brain, because like sometimes I want to do like weird over the top shit, and it's just like, no, you need to stop that. Like, you need to do what's best for the song, not what you want to do. Like, so it was a lot of growing pains, but I think it just made for a better album and better songs.
And probably a better band moving forward, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. That's great. For having, you've had different iterations, but to have a band that's so long, going on that long, and then finally kind of realize, oh shit, this can be even better. That's got to be a really cool thing to discover.
Yeah. I think like you never really stop learning. Like you always are still figuring it out. And I think that's just the beauty of music is like you're constantly evolving. Like there's never a finish line. You're just like always just running, I guess.
Sure. Well, hey, I don't know. We talked about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's stuff I didn't even talk about, but we can talk about that stuff another time.
Yeah. And I'm excited for you to check out all the things that you didn't know about in the
Yeah,
rabbit
I gotta
hole.
check out.
So,
Yeah, the Crazy 88. I'm a movie guy.
yeah, I think you'll have a lot of fun with that project.
Because you were supposed to play in Chicago, and I was going to come see it, and then there was issues with visas and whatnot.
Yes, I'm still very sad we couldn't make that work.
That had to be super frustrating because you wait and prep, and then oh shit.
Especially in like one of our biggest markets, like we have so many fans from Chicago, and I'm just like, well, next time. And it was such a bummer. Like I'm still mad about it. Like still very sad we couldn't play Chicago.
Well, then what was there? 3 shows? 3?
Yeah, we had to eat Chicago, Cleveland, and Philly, and I'm still very sad.
Yeah.
But there's literally nothing we could have done. We offered to play on the originally scheduled date without the headliner. Well, we're like, we'll still play. Like, if there's no show tonight, like, we'll still go and sell merch. And they're like, no, it's moved. And we're like, okay, well, we're here. Like, we can do it. But they opted to just reschedule it. And it was when our visas were expired and we had no time to renew them. And it was such a bummer. And I was so mad.
Next time you guys get out and about, I got to see you. I got to see you live. I have to travel to do it. I'll travel to do it.
Yes.
All right. I guess we'll wrap up there, Lauren.
Yeah.
Thank you for talking to me. This is super fun.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you for the very insightful chats. And now I'm going to have another existential crisis, probably.
No, you'll be fine.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I have to edit this video. It never ends.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ryan.
We'll keep in touch, and
yes.
We'll see you out whenever I can. Thanks, Lauren.
Bye.
Bye.